born an athlete, you'll die an athlete. It's in your DNA.
You're an athlete. Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes.
Welcome, athletes, into the gym closet for another excellent episode. Amber is out of town, but I'm here, as always, with Zach and Dan. What's up, guys?
What's up?
If this is your first time joining us, please subscribe, hit the bell, like the thing, do all the things for the algorithm so that we can grow this show, grow this channel. And if this is your first time, Crave Gym, I always do that. Crave Gym is a gym. The Gym Closet is a podcast, is a Crave Gym podcast where we talk about optimizing life, living life like an athlete. And so we have a bunch of good stuff to talk about today. We're going to be covering the recap and the champions of our last season. We are going to jump into next season, and then we have a Mythbusters as well as a cleanup for Amber's absent, but we have a cleanup of her craving. So what do we want? We want to start off with a little bit of myth.
Yeah, we can do that. We can just jump right into it
Jump
for
right
sure.
in for that.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a myth from Zach today. What do we
Cool.
got?
Talking food labels today, so not necessarily like one specific myth, kind of an overarching theme of food labels and how they can be a little bit misleading sometimes. So food labels are a tricky business. A lot of marketing gets put into play with a lot of that kind of stuff. The super kind of basic example that I can think of, and I got this idea off of TikTok actually. So I saw a TikTok with a guy that was doing this, and he had basically two boxes, and they were labeled, and it was the exact same amount of calories, the exact same carbs, same fat, same protein. And either actually one of them ended, I think one of them was like 2 carbs less maybe, right? So let's say one was 20 carbs, one was 22 carbs, and they both had 14 grams of fat, 5 grams of protein. And he's like, which one would you choose, knowing what you know about weight loss? What would you choose as your snack? And everybody's obviously going to choose the one that has a couple less carbs, even though they're going to be very similar. Pulls them out. The one with the few less carbs was, I think, a Reese's peanut butter cup, and the one that had the few extra carbs was like a Kind bar, or one of those like kind of health quote, if you can't see me in quotes,
Oh, sure.
health bars. And it just all has to do with how companies market these products and how they try to get them perceived by society, basically, right? So
Okay, so
food
less
labels.
less food labels, because the food label is the actual
Not the nutrition.
not the nutrition
facts.
facts.
More
food
of the
label,
front side
but
of the label with
okay,
the marketing.
Yeah. Okay,
right?
definitely.
So,
Or the wrapper. Or
the
whatever.
yes,
Yeah.
that's probably
Okay.
a better way to put it.
Definitely,
Like
I like
the
that.
front side
I like
of the
that.
wrapper. Yep. So
Where a product might be called healthy choice,
right.
blah blah blah.
Right.
Whatever. Okay, or organic.
Organic is a big one,
yeah.
and I think a lot of people. I've worked with some people before that they want to do the.
And I say this authentically because we don't really talk about our segments prior, so that we get our
Right.
actual feedback.
Right, we
So-
really have no idea what's going on
So
here,
when
honestly.
we were talking food labels, I was wondering, where we're going with it, and then it was because my mind went to the nutrition facts food part of the food label,
Right.
and I was like, okay, what's the myths on this?
Right.
This is interesting.
We're talking the front, and that's why it's important. The front side is all
Is
marketing.
marketing. Yep.
The back side, the nutrition label, the food label that Tyler's thinking of here, that's where it's legit. That's the stuff that you want to look at.
That's
right?
where you have to
That's
look.
the more important.
And it's funny
thing
because
to
like
look at.
I don't know if you guys feel this way, but when I go to whatever aisle, right, and I pick something up and immediately turn it to the back and start reading nutrition facts on it, I get the weirdest looks.
Yeah,
on
I feel
things.
the exact same way.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, this should be commonplace for everybody,
Right.
because you shouldn't just pick up any, cereal's a good one.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You shouldn't pick up like a healthy choice cereal or whatever it says on there. and look at that and say, oh, okay, so this cereal is better than this because of the front of the box.
Right.
You know
one
what
of
I
the
mean?
things, like, cereal is a perfect example, because one of the things that I tell people all the time is, like, most cereals are super, super, super similar macro-wise, right?
Right.
So, like, you could pick up, like, a box of, like, plain Cheerios or a box of my favorite Mega Stuffed Oreos cereal, and, like, the macros on those two cereals are super, like, I think maybe
great
even
example.
the exact same.
Right. And this is a great example because on the Cheerios, they've done a tremendous job of making it heart healthy, right? And so if you follow us, you know that most of your heart problems are not going to be solved by your Cheerios in the morning, but it will be solved by losing overall body fat in most cases, right? That's where most cases of disease in general is too much body fat on the human, right? So when you look at a Cheerio box or next to Captain Crunch, the Cheerios has the bowl is a shape of a heart.
Yep.
With the Cheerios inside. It says Cheerios and then it says something about heart healthy.
Right, part of like a heart healthy diet.
Part
or
of a
something
heart
like
healthy
that, yeah.
diet, right? So they've manipulated words because there are certain things that you can't put on the front of the box. And if those things, so there's certain words like there's restrictions for organic, which most of the time they're very loose restrictions, but there's restrictions on certain words that you can use, but heart healthy is not a word that is restricted. So now they threw on heart healthy diet, as far as that makes you think three things. That makes you think it's good for my heart, and if I'm dieting, Cheerios is the way to go. Right. And if you turn it around and you look at the back of the box, the carbohydrates are most likely the same, probably a little bit difference in the sugar, but as we know, that's not a huge factor when it comes to overall daily allotted carbohydrates. And so we've had this talk before, but that's a great example of, do I want a box that tastes better, maybe costs less? That's the other thing, is a lot of these diet cereals, and I'm putting diet in quotations, so if you're not watching me, these diet cereals that are marketed as a diet, turn them around. If the macros match a kids cereal, quote unquote kids cereal, then that diet cereal is not a diet cereal. It's the exact same thing as the other ones. Some of them can be fortified with some extra vitamins and all of that kind of stuff. But again, if you're relying on your cereal in the morning to get your vitamins and minerals, then we probably need to talk about the rest of
Right,
your
you have
diet.
much larger problems
Right.
at that point.
You know what I mean? And
If
so-
you're choosing a cereal because this has like 10% more of my daily value of vitamin A, like that's probably not enough of a reason. If you like the other cereal,
Right.
if you like the taste of the other cereal better, like
Don't
just have the other
choke.
one.
Don't choke down
Right.
something that you dislike because, or a cereal especially that you dislike. Another good one is granola bars and different things
Yeah.
like that, where they market on the front of the box that this is healthy. And I've seen so many that if you eat, like, this is one of them is a protein. It's literally labeled protein bar.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it has like 8 grams of protein per bar, 15 grams of fat, and 30 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
In what world is that a protein
Like
bar? and
technically,
not
yes,
a
it
fat
does
carb
have
bar?
It's got protein in
protein
it.
technically.
Right,
Like the other one, like going along, and now we're just gonna name examples here. But
That's
the other
good.
one that really is super tricky for a lot of people is peanut butter.
Right.
Right,
yeah.
like because peanut butter, same thing. Like the thought around peanut butter that they market it as is a high protein snack for a kid. Like your kids eat a peanut butter sandwich, they can get some protein that way, right? Like that's super ambiguous. Like yes, peanut butter does have protein,
Right.
but if you're looking at it, a spoonful of peanut butter might have 8 grams of protein and 16 grams of fat. So like yes, if you have 12 tablespoons of peanut butter, yeah, you get a lot of protein, but you're also going to have 100 grams of fat with that too. So like they're not
Right.
lying in the sense of It does have
includes
protein,
yeah.
Yeah.
but it also has a lot more
But why,
fat.
but it doesn't. It's not sexy for that company to have great source of fat,
Right, exactly.
high fat food.
Although
You know,
now with the prevalence of keto, I go through some of I was going through the Walmart supplement aisle a few weeks ago, and they have fat shakes and fat bars
oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
because you have to get so much fat. on
But
your
it's funny
keto
because
diet,
if you're thinking about peanut butter in general,
Mhm.
not great for keto. Pretty high carb too.
Right.
And so and relatively moderate protein. So if you're in keto, peanut butter is not a great choice for you
Right.
because you're going to get yourself out of keto with the amount of protein and carbs that you get in there. And so you're going to get blood sugar
Right.
spikes from that. So it's super interesting when you look at that, and it's misconceived. So I think the bottom line of this, which is a great myth, is that you can trust the myth today. I think would be trusting the front of any
Right.
food. Right?
always, and
That's
that's
the marketing side of it.
Right,
Right. And
And
so
I think
learning to read and maybe we'll do a supplement video about this podcast. Maybe we'll do another video on how to read. I think we've done something like that.
I think
in
we
the
have
past.
to, because it is super important.
But
yeah.
bring it up again and how to read nutrition labels and nutrition facts on a piece of on a food product versus relying at all on the front of
Right.
the box.
And that's one of the things that I think is super helpful with a shameless plug here for nutrition coaching. But I mean, I've had people, and again, I've talked about this before too, I've had people that I've worked with for 3 years nutrition. I've had people that I've worked with for 2 months, 6 weeks. And what you can learn in a month or two of having a coach help you track your food and be able to come back and sit down and say, holy crap, I didn't realize that peanut butter looked like this when I actually turned it around. There's so many
Right.
little things like that you can pick up on, even in a few weeks of
Yeah.
just paying attention to looking at food labels, tracking macros, and actually, looking into that for 10 seconds rather than just looking at the front of the label.
Right.
So that's one
Or
of the
like
really cool
the
things, too, I think.
preconceived commercials too, like the preconceived thought behind foods is if you're watching a commercial, even if the front of the box didn't have a heart-shaped bowl that made you think of heart healthy, right? But the commercial says these things, you can't take into account the commercial
Right.
that is telling you these things
Right.
because that's a marketing company that probably might not even be associated with the food. That company that's selling the food, the Cheerios company, they're probably big enough that they have their own marketing team. But a lot of these companies are just hiring marketing companies that have no idea about the actual food to market the food. And all they're doing is studying what's going to get this into people's hands.
Right,
yeah.
And what's the hot topic right now?
Right.
What's the thing that is getting people's attention, and then how do we feed off of that to get people to buy this food because
Right.
that's all they care about.
Exactly.
And so,
Yeah.
and I think that's a huge, again, plug for the nutrition coaching that we do. Is it's an education, and these are things that we completely educate all of our athletes on, and have a well-rounded knowledge of these things on a weekly basis. When you're working with a coach, because those are questions that you should have. You shouldn't blindly be, and I think, tracking your macros and stuff is also a big part of that. Just knowing MyFitnessPal helps, but again, MyFitnessPal, we're not associated with them at all. The problem with some of the MyFitnessPals is early on it was crowdfunded, or not crowdfunded, but crowdsourced as far as the information goes.
Right, yeah.
And so the database, you can get some messed up numbers, some inaccurate readings of what somebody reported something, whether they were uneducated reporting or whether they just don't, they thought this thing, So all of those things are great, but I think that is a huge myth that can be busted, is that you can trust the front of anything. And I think when you look into the health food aisle, it is dramatically more expensive.
Yeah.
It's dramatically less, I don't know a good way to put this that sounds intelligent, but less good for you. or not less good for you, but less better for you than what they're claiming.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, just take into consideration if you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go down the health food aisle to pick out my cereal. You grab your $9 box of cereal and read the back of it. Go back to the typical cereal aisle. Pick one that you like, that you would love to enjoy eating. Look at the back, and I bet you'll be relatively surprised at the similarities of what they are. You know?
Sure.
Another one, and then this is what I thought you might be touching on a little bit, was another one that I saw online was somebody saying that, like, European food labels and that the European FDA bans certain things, but had like labels listed as far as like colored dyes and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so one of the examples that I saw had whatever they were saying, blue 4 is bad, right? And they were like, look, in Europe, blue 4 is banned or whatever. But then if you look at the label, it's not called blue 4, but it's blue 5. It's a different blue dye, but it doesn't have the blue name. It's labeled differently. It's the full name.
Right. The big sciencey name.
So it's not like a lot of those things are not like, oh, Europe doesn't allow this to be in their products. What they do is they forcefully make you list out the scientific name of it versus just saying blue 4.
Right.
So it might, I don't even know what the example was, but you could tell that. So it's like knowing those things and knowing that, you know, those differences are not dramatically different is, you know, just being knowledgeable about what you're bringing into your body and not being tricked by marketing is pretty much the bottom line of this entire argument.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah. And I'll just like say two things on that is also like where it's placed.
That's
too.
huge,
sure.
Like
Yeah.
the most like enticing thing is going to be eye level, or like, and then the things that are going to be a little bit better are either going to be lower or a little bit higher.
Right.
And even price wise too. Like it's going to be cheaper on the bottom.
Yep.
And then most people don't want to go for the cheap version because it's like, oh, cheap version isn't healthy.
Right.
But then all the pricing, the high prices up on top. But then on the nutrition side is like if you flip it over, the biggest thing that I always talk about is they have the calories really big because people are going to look at calories and not so the macros.
Right. That's,
So if
that's
like you
super
look
true,
at the difference from nutrition labels earlier or like years ago, everything is the same font. Now it's calories are in big bold font and then everything else is small.
Right.
So that's like,
So you don't
I'm
know
going
the
to count my
breakdown.
calories,
Right.
not count my
Right.
macros.
Right.
But-
That's super true too. Yeah.
And it's super, like, Google, okay, so Google this if you get a chance. Google grocery store marketing science. It will blow your fucking mind.
There's so
So-
much
so
like
the-
thought that goes
Every
into
single aisle, the placement of everything is scientifically put that way for a reason. Notice, too, that where eye level is different for kids versus adults. So now you go down an aisle that would be attractive to kids, again, the cereal aisle.
I feel like there's a lot of shots at me with my cereal.
Oh, I eat cereal. I love cereal.
No, I'm talking about I feel like they're taking shots at me from my Oreo cereal. My
Oh,
Mega
no,
Stuff
I thought-
Oreo cereal.
I don't eat that.
You're calling it kids cereal.
Well, it's all marketed to kids.
Well, that's fair.
all cereals are marketed to
That's
kids,
fair, that's fair.
and they're also not at adult eye level. If you look at where your Oreos are,
I have to reach to the bottom shelf
You
for
have
my
to
my
you have to
Oreo.
go down to the second shelf because now a 3'6" child can look at that colorful cartoon character on there and say, "This is the one that I want."
It works for me.
And
So.
it does, right? But that's the thing. Like even my Captain Crunch or my Cinnamon Toast Crunch,
Yeah.
all of those that I'll eat, I'm eating or the fruity Pebbles
Yeah.
or Cocoa Pebbles. Like those are my go-tos.
Right.
But so I haven't had the double stuff
It's good.
Oreo ones.
They're good.
What
You should try it.
what is it compared to? Is it in a cereal franchise?
Yeah, it's
You know what I mean? Like like
I'll have to.
Captain Crunch has peanut butter, regular.
Oh
berries,
no, I don't
all
think
that
they
kind of
have.
stuff.
I mean, they have regular Oreos. They have Oreos mega stuffed, so I get mega stuffed because they're just more of the little marshmallow
So is it
chunks.
just Oreo branded cereal? Is that what it is?
I think, yeah.
Or is it
I
underneath?
think, well, I'm
Is
going
it
to look
like-
this up.
I was gonna say because now I'm
Now I
interested
have to
to
look
see
this
if it's
up.
like a Kellogg. Because you know
I think
what I
it's
mean,
Post, maybe.
though. Because you know what
Yeah.
I mean. Like the Captain Crunch franchise brand has 12 different flavors of Captain Crunch.
Right.
The which even includes like the vampire dude and
Oh,
all
yeah.
of the, you know what I mean,
Count
like
Chocula.
Count Chocula and all those different.
Okay, yeah,
things.
so they're Oreo O's is what they're called.
Oh,
Oreo
okay, yeah.
O's.
Okay, I've seen
From
those.
Post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Those would be in the family of Fruit Loops.
Yes.
I think they're the Fruit
I
Loop
think
family.
so, yeah.
Yep,
Well, let me
okay.
look here.
So the Fruit Loop franchise has changed flavors and went to Oreo O's with a combination marketing technique.
Yes.
I
That's
think. I don't
accurate.
know. I think Fruit Loops are Post.
Fruity Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles are.
Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, yep.
Nice. Okay. Cool.
Honeycomb.
Honeycomb.
Bunches of O's.
What's the? Is it no Golden Grams?
Golden
I love.
Grams.
A lot of people don't like them. But Delicious is shit. What are they called? They're just like those Oreo O's, but they're apple flavored.
Oh,
Apple Jacks?
Apple Jacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I fuck with Apple Jacks hard.
I think Apple Jacks
I
are
haven't-
disgusting.
I haven't had those for a long
anything
time.
apple, gross.
You're not an apple fan?
No.
What
I'm not a
about
fruit fan in general.
In what way is that related to fruit? So
It's
like
fruit flavored.
cider? You don't fuck with cider either?
Cider, I like cider.
Cider
I like
blew
cider.
a hole wide
Cider.
open in your entire flavor thing. So maybe you don't like fruit, but
That's
fruit
fair.
flavoring
That's fair, okay.
is not the issue.
That's true.
Okay. So
This would be a good craving, by the way. Favorite cereal.
Oh, favorite cereal?
definitely, I think we've
Yeah.
done it before.
Have we?
Early
Probably
on.
a
I'm
long time
talking
ago,
like
yeah.
episode 3 might have cereal craving. Back when it was, I don't remember what we called it back then, but something similar. So great Mythbuster. But now we're going to move on to wrap up this season. We are almost done with Condition to Conquer Endurance season. We got our last burpee day in on Monday. Was it Monday or was it yesterday?
That was
Monday.
Monday, yep.
Yeah.
We got our last challenge in yesterday. So we are in our last week. I think it was a great season. I think a lot of people enjoy this
Yeah.
season, as crazy as that is.
I would agree.
I think a lot of people enjoyed the 18 set of burpees
Yeah.
in that. Which
I think
is
it's a
crazy
very different season as far as like the pace of it. I think it's
Yeah.
just super fast paced compared to like, and this might be more for saving for our next season preview, but going back from 2020s, if you think about how fast this seemed 2 months ago,
Oh yeah.
now think about how slow
Right.
minute long sets, how long those are going to feel
Right.
next week. They're
Yeah.
going to feel like they are forever.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Which is awesome. But yeah, so finishing up our Condition to Conquer season, we have champions to announce. We have team champions to announce. The trophies, and I'll just rip the Band-Aid off for Zach here. The trophies are coming to West Des Moines.
It's kind of
Yeah,
bullshit.
buddy,
It's
West Des
kind of
Moines.
bullshit,
But you can't even
actually.
do West Des Moines like this because that's West Des Moines Waukee as well.
This is Waukee.
So now we have to have a different West Des Moines hand sign.
Yeah,
Gang
it's kind
sign.
of, if we're just being honest, it's kind of bullshit, the whole thing this season.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Because you lost?
There was some shady rule stuff going on. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, was there what? Or was there?
There was about to be shady rule stuff, but then fair and square, West Des Moines got fair and square. So we had to go, well,
Oh,
we'll
okay,
save-
yeah.
We'll save it for a second.
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking
Yeah.
about. Okay, so we got the top 3 from each location. We're gonna shout them out. So we have Matt Mulford and Damon Dixon both tied at 157 for our schooner challenge, the row ring challenge. And then Justin Bielenberg in 3rd place with a 202. Those guys brought the average for the men as far as our team challenge goes to 206 was the average for the top 10. Men in Waukee for the team was 2:09. So that's 3-second difference. Really close race, which was awesome to see. The top 10 averaged into the 2:06 versus the 2:09. West Des Moines ended up bringing it home. So who
that's
are the
super
top
tight.
three? Shout out for the men
Top
in
three.
Waukee.
Oh, let's see here. Number 3, we had Dustin Jordan. Got a 2:07. Number 2 was Dan Holes, 2:06. And actually, number 1, Austin Post. I hope I'm saying it right. Austin Postier, also 2:06. The tiebreaker, we had this come up with Lydia a few seasons ago too. The tiebreaker for the individuals is whoever gets the fastest, their next fastest time, right? So Austin's next fastest time, I think, was like a 2:08 or something like that. Dan was kind of slacking before that though, so he had a little bit slower second time,
Nice.
like 2:15. So,
So
terrible job, Dan.
we had kind of the same thing with our first and second place, but I just gave it to a tie because Matt had a 158 earlier in the season and Damon had a 158. I think
That's nuts to
earlier.
have two. Their
Both
top two times.
top
the
two
same.
times
That's
were the
actually
exact same.
crazy.
So we don't have a third place tiebreaker. They both get first. So yeah. So then a 3-second win for the men. Trophy comes home. I don't know how we're gonna do the trophy in the overall.
That's what I was saying. I
figure out.
would. This is kind of a you guys problem now over here.
Yeah. We're
But
gonna have to finish out a third tiebreaker.
that's what I was gonna say.
What
You
the
need to
different-
bring just the two of them in head to head,
We
and
might have to maybe just
have
rock
them-
paper scissors too with
that could work
this,
too.
as much as they've already
That's true.
performed. So now we're gonna get to the women. So the women at West Des Moines, our top 3. Shout out to Sammy Craig at 2:16, Taylor Voitel. I don't know how. Sorry if I mispronounced that name. Voitel at 2:21. And Elise White at 2:26. So those 3 were the top 3 times. Again, top 10 are average to get the team victory. So, before we announce the team victory for women,
Well,
let's
we
get
kind of
into-
already did.
Did we already?
Well, we already said that they both won. But
Oh,
whatever,
okay.
it's
Yeah,
fine. So-
West Des Moines did win.
But you got to hear the final times here though. So, ladies, Waukee, third place we had Tess Kennan. Sorry, Tess, if I said that wrong. 2:24. Alana Schiltz, 2:23. And first place was Liz Buckingham with 2:20.
Who did that multiple times, right?
She got 2:20 2 times.
Nice.
Yes.
So, for the total overall, again, we average out the team. So, at first, it was a tie. 2:27 was the average time for the top 10 women at both locations. So then we were like, okay, well, we got to get the tiebreaker out. So, immediately I was like, let's just go to the top, the first best time, which Sammy Craig, 2:16, West Des Moines takes it home.
So this is where I'm fighting for you, women of Waukee. I'm fighting for you. I called out that bullshit random rule being made up on
Because
the
he
spot.
wanted to say that I made up a random rule, and I said, okay, all right, well, let's see what else we can do. So, the way that we did it was when we were looking at the averages, it was automatically rounded to the time of 2:27. So then what we did is we took it to the decimal point, an extra level, and West Des Moines women, and we'll have the tiebreaker is going to be 3 ways. So the average time of the top 10 determines winner. If that's a tie, we go to another decimal point. Pretend that that's a tie, we're going to go to the first place winner. So
And
that is now
We've agreed
and
on that.
forever stamped
We've agreed to
into
that, too,
our
so.
championship end of season results. But we didn't have to go to the third place tiebreaker, which Sammy Craig would have won. But we got to fair and square.
I agree.
It was 2:27 even over here at West Des Moines, and it was 2:27.8 over at Waukee. So, as close as that is, West Des Moines women bring it home. So, congratulations. Super excited to get both of the trophies back over here. And we'll figure out, Matt and Damon, we'll figure out who goes on the trophy. Or maybe just a slash. I don't know. Well, I think fairly, I think rock paper scissors.
I think it's the
out,
fairest
I
thing.
think, and
would
we
be.
better make this some content and
This would have to,
some
yeah.
rock paper scissors content is always groundbreaking content.
What about like a physical challenge? What about just like
Like
what
a
about
wrestling
just
challenge?
wrestling?
Yeah, there we go.
So I
like
think it'd be
that.
fun.
So we'll figure out a tiebreaker for those two. They're both first place, but we got to figure out who goes on the trophies. So trophies are coming back to West Des Moines. The other thing that is crazy, and I got to give a shout out because, not that I guess our new tiebreaker would have counted because it would have been a 0.2 difference over at West Des Moines, so it would have been 227.2 instead of 227 even. But Amanda Foy, huge shout out, came in last day to yesterday and jumped on the top 10 board with her 230, and she was not on the board before, so that bumped the average up for the top 10 in order to win, which I guess the tiebreaker, it doesn't help, but it does help. So the bottom line is your scores on the last day could potentially win the overall for your team. So it's important to perform every single day.
And that's what we talked about too, even in the office before we came in here, is how this is what we want out of our challenge. Like we want decimal points and tiebreaker.
Yes.
Like we want it to be this close, because that means that every single challenge, every single day, every single person doing it matters, right?
I mean,
like
and
if
how
somebody,
cool is that?
yeah,
That we have probably, what would you say, multiple hundreds of total scores
Right.
throughout this season.
right. Oh, totally,
Right.
yeah.
Testing. We did the schooner challenge, whatever, 8 times,
7 or 8 times.
seven
yeah.
or 8 times,
Yeah.
and we have through that entire time we've had a couple hundred people at each location doing this, and it came down to a 0.8 difference in performance. When you think about that, that's a big opportunity for everyone to help their team out. You
Oh,
know what I
totally,
mean?
yeah.
And be able to take the challenges seriously, make sure that you're giving your all at all the time. And that's the one thing we've talked about in challenges. We always have this. Not always, but sometimes we have this negative look on a challenge in the middle of the week that they're like, I just don't want to do it. And the bottom line is, at the end of the day, your scores count to a bigger cause for your team. And so taking it seriously, trying your best. And at the end of the day, if you're not physically feeling it that day, great. Do that challenge as a part of the workout instead of draining your last energy to try to win that challenge, right? It's still a part of the workout, so get it done and have fun doing it. That's the biggest thing
Yeah.
when we talk about those.
Absolutely.
So, but now we can get into, now that we cleaned up all of the Condition to Conquer, we can say goodbye for a year with this season, and we can introduce our Making an Impact season, which is our striking season. For those who are not a part of Crave yet, striking season is kickboxing emphasis. We have 4 elements. We have striking, endurance, agility, and strength. So now we're going to emphasize that striking portion of what we do. We are going to have 2 rounds. 1 round is going to be on the heavy bags per usual. And then our second round will be with the mitts. So we will be partnering up and we will be doing mitt work, which is a ton of fun.
It's like one of my favorite things that we do.
Yeah, it is
Probably,
awesome.
yeah.
I love it. And if you don't love it, you will love it if you practice and you get better at it. The only reason I've ever talked to somebody that doesn't love it is if they have only done it once or twice and they don't know, exactly what they're
Right.
doing.
And so that's what I would definitely encourage people. And this is a kind of thing that we have to have every kind of first week of this season, especially for people that maybe haven't done striking season before, is it takes some coordination. It takes a little bit of getting used to you and your partner and just the mitts in general. Like, it's not something that you can just pick up on the first day of the season if you've never done it before.
Right.
And all of a sudden you're just flying through combos like it's like no big deal, right? Like, it takes practice. It takes a little bit of coordination to get it down. Take a few minutes and get it down and get feeling good with it. And once you do, it is great workout.
It's just like anything, right?
ton
So
of
you
fun,
go,
too, yeah.
you go through the ladders, and the first time that we tell someone to do an Icky Shuffle, they're going to have to go really slow.
Right.
They may not get it the first couple times through the ladders, but start slow, hit your combos, and then the nice thing is we typically work up as far as difficulty, even throughout the set. And
Right.
so the first one might just be jabs. Then it's going to be a jab cross, and it's going to be a jab cross upper, or whatever the case might be. And so typically we progress through those combos so that you can kind of pick up on, what skills or what combinations you need to do. But take it slow, and both partners need to understand that taking it slow and practicing it is going to be the way that you can get the most out of it either throughout the entire season, because then by the end of the season, hopefully we're all experts at the mitts and we can start rocking and rolling as fast as we can. Then it gets to be crazy amount of fun. So that is the striking element. Everything else will be striking based as well. So even in strength, I remember we have some kicks, we have some punches as far as like a neutral grip, single arm Visio ball bench, which would be then punches. So we're working on the high velocity power output that we're going to be getting out of the strength element. 10 reps in strength. The clock is the biggest thing that's going to change from our 2020s. So 2020 pace, we kind of talked about it earlier, is super quick and super fast. Change here, change here, change here, change here. Where this one is basically 3 minutes, halftime 3 minutes. And so when we do that, we have kind of built-in changes inside of a combo or inside of a movement or a total rep count that we've done. So in strength, we have 1 round on the racks. Our rack round is going to be the entire time with 5 sets. The power block round will be minutes on the minute, every minute for a certain amount of reps. And so if you've done EMOMs with your minute, you're basically doing 10 reps, resting until that minute whistle hits, starting set 2. So we have 3 sets. As far as the clock goes, we have 3 minutes, halftime 3 minutes. So in our power blocks, we have 2 movements, 3 sets each. We have a same thing with agility, but we may have any agility time that goes the full minutes. We either have reps or we have full time where you're getting as much done as possible. Remember, in agility, we're always going 100%. So it's 100% or nothing. Even though it's a minute, and maybe we have an entire minute of ladders, we want to go 100% through the ladder, nice and easy recovery on the way back. So we're not worried about going boom, 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 and exhausting and going 50% for the entire minute. What we're worried about is going 110% through the ladders one way, nice and easy on the way back, and then hitting it again. So those are the different things that we have to concentrate on in agility. And then we're into steady state, 2 3-minute steady state bouts in endurance. And so you're going to do your, which is great because we can get outside. If we're outside and we want to do the entire steady state without a halftime, 7 minutes of steady state outside. If you're running with gorgeous weather, that's awesome. We can do that. Or if you're inside, we're going to go pick a pace for 3 minutes, rest, pick a pace for 3 minutes. So that's kind of the breakdown of everything as far as the clock goes in the round. So I'm super excited. We have our Farmers Challenge this season. So if you know what the Farmers Challenge is, if you've done it before, it is burpees, farmers walks, 1-arm snatch, burpees, farmers walks, 1-arm snatch. 2 sets, I think.
2 sets.
2 times through.
So I think last year we did 3 and it was tough.
The first week we did 3.
The first week we did 3 and it was
And then
pretty
we were
brutal.
like, wait, this, because, so we have a time frame in mind that we would like each round of the competition to go. And instead of being like the 2 to 3 minutes that we wanted to be in, or the 1.5 to 3 minutes that we wanted to kind of stick with, it was like 5 minutes to 10 minutes.
Yeah, just because like that third round, then
Third
it's
round
like you're
is
already
brutal.
gassed. So now it's like you're doing like 2 snatches, resting for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
2 snatch. It was pretty brutal.
But
yeah.
we live and we learn and we make adjustments and we progress. And so we have a, how fast did I say that?
That was
I feel like I'm gonna watch that back. That might be a tagline that I use all the time because I kind of feel cool about that, and I feel like I should have fucked my words up on that, but I didn't. So I'm gonna watch that back. So awesome. We have what else do we have? Oh, we had the just to clean up our craving.
Oh yeah.
Monster cookies won 57%. Cool.
Monster cookies are good, but I don't know how the State Fair cookies. I don't know. State Fair cookies are good.
Are solid. Like I don't understand. I do understand because I would vote for Monster cookies as well. Because
That's a tough one.
I think you
It's
have
really
the.
tough.
I think Monster cookies has the advantage in this though because think about your best Monster cookie
True.
ever versus
True.
a specific experience or a specific cookie that if you've only had the State Fair cookies once and had a bad experience with it.
Which how though?
How is a
How?
good example?
Yeah.
But maybe it's like hot outside.
That's fair,
You
yeah,
don't
that's true.
enjoy cookies when
You
it's
don't
hot.
enjoy a
And-
bucket
and-
of 50 cookies
Yeah,
when it's
and then you
110 degrees.
You also maybe you don't have a cold glass of milk to go with it.
That's fair.
Versus the best experience ever with a Monster cookie. Like that's kind of an unfair
That
advantage.
is true. Yeah, we should. Yeah, we kind of screwed chocolate chip cookies. We should probably should have.
I'm okay with it.
Alright.
Fuck 'em.
Okay.
I'm curious what it would be
I'm here for
in
the Monster
August
cookies.
in the fair.
That's true too. Yeah, I remember we
Do
should
it,
do, we should do the
like,
same poll
live.
during the fair.
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Because then you
'Cause
have
then you
recency
have the
bias.
experience.
Bias
Yep,
would,
recency
yeah.
bias may
Yeah.
Would skew things.
skew things
Yeah.
towards chocolate chips. So we'll see.
Interesting.
It'll be interesting. So that is it for us in the gym closet. Unless you guys have something else to add, nothing.
No, nothing.
Nice. I'm super excited because I'm working on the new studio in the HQ. So the studio is looking cool.
Nice.
And I'm excited.
We're gonna have more
Oh,
leg
yeah.
room than.
We are. We're not going to be bumping knees when we're in that new studio. We're just waiting for Google Fiber, which is amazing that Google Fiber is coming to Des Moines. It's one of like 5 cities
Yeah.
that Google Fiber is going into, and Google Fiber, if you don't know, is an internet provider that I think is like 50 times faster than what we have currently
Dang.
at their slowest, and it's half the
Damn.
price.
Oh.
So and
Alright.
you may have, I don't know if you have bad thoughts about Google or Amazon or whatever those giant companies are, but they are giving Des Moines a very reasonable internet for very fast, or for cheap.
A
So
very reasonable internet for fast.
a very fast internet for a reasonable price. There we go.
There we go.
That's-
There we go.
that was me screwing up the word.
Yeah.
That's why I was so proud of the one that I didn't screw up. And so now I'm going to go back and erase that part out of this. So, but thank you for joining us. As always, remember, you're an athlete. Live like it.
It's in your DNA.
Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs